All right, good morning. It's 9 a.m. and I'll call the December 4th meeting of the Floyd County Board of Supervisors to order. Supervisor Jorgensen is joining us on the call-in line. Are you there, Jim?
I am there. I'm here with you.
Good. We can hear you loud and clear.
Same here.
First item is approving the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I will second.
All right, we have a motion by Supervisor Kiefer, seconded by Jorgensen to approve today's agenda. Those in favor say aye.
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 Motion is carried. Public comment. Anyone listening online would like to make a public comment? Hearing none, we'll move to item 3, review action regarding approval of the November 27th and 28th meeting minutes. 27th was a regular board meeting, and then on the 28th was that joint meeting with the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I'll make a motion. Oh, go ahead, Jim.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of November 27th and 28th, 2023 minutes.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Supervisor Jorgensen, seconded by Kiefer, to approve the minutes of both the November 27th and 28th meeting minutes. Further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
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 Motion is carried. Item 4, review action regarding approval of the claims.
I'll bring this subject up again. I'm still not satisfied with Bolton and Mink's billing statements. All they've done is add a person's name, but they're still not telling us what they're doing. When I talked to Tyler last week, I explained to him what we wanted, and I asked him, do you understand, Tyler? Yep, no problem, I understand what you want. And I never did hear back from Tyler, but I've got a couple emails from Gloria with amended and revised, and it's just, they're inadequate, they're too vague. They don't tell us what we're paying for.
Can I mention that?
Sure.
So they do reference what work was done. If you look at the 2 pages together, I provided Dennis with an example of that.
Go back and get on that.
If it's in here, I looked at that, they just added their names, is all they did.
They added dates of service, and on those dates of service, if you look at the 2 pages together, you can see that the one was boots on the ground, putting flags up, doing construction work.
I didn't see that.
The first attachment was the original notice, okay? I
Yeah,
read
but
that
the
through there.
second attachment has that original and the second page that they added.
All right.
Where does it say they have boots on the ground, Gloria?
If you look at the description of work that they did, on up here. Construction observation, construction staking, and construction administration.
Okay,
So construction observation and construction staking were when their boots are on the ground.
what about Paige Phillips?
She's a purely administrative. She did administrative work on bids and solicitations for the contract.
Did you get this from Tyler?
The invoice came from Tyler, yes.
This revised one?
Yeah.
How come he didn't call me? Because this is not what I asked for. And he told me that he understood what I asked for.
I don't know why he just sent it to me.
Okay. It's still too vague. All we have is their name and their hours and how much they bill an hour. I don't have this other page that you're looking at unless, is it the first page?
It's the second attachment. It's the second page on this right here. Double click on that. There's the hours of every day of service that they have.
Yep, I see that.
And then it tells you, this was administrative, this was design engineering, this was technician,
Yeah,
design engineer, project manager. And then you can tie all of those hours to page one. That's like for Nathan, for example, construction observation, construction staking, and contract administration.
still too vague. I want it to
I
be like an
disagree.
attorney's bill, when they say Jennifer worked 2.5 hours, this is what she did for her 2.5 hours.
But you have it.
Well,
You don't have anything specific with the Ehlers and Cooney's bills necessarily on what specifically did the admin people or the other people do. I mean, you might with Tim's, that he attended the utilities board hearing or that he met with a person. But I think this is a very sufficient
I don't know
invoice,
why.
and I think you have an issue with Bolton and Mink, but you also have an obligation to a service that they're providing in a contract that you awarded that has these categories.
What's my issue with Bolton and Maine?
That you don't like them.
No,
Yeah.
I'd just like to know what we pay for it.
Well, I think you're
Do we
fine.
have a contract with Bolton and Maine?
You have a contract that you said, do you have a written contract? No, there is an agreement that Bolton and Mink was hired to do the work. You do have a contract with the services that they're overseeing
Larson,
with Larson.
yep, but with Bolton and Maine.
That's what this is. Yeah, but Bolton and Mink is overseeing the services.
Well, with all due respect, I don't agree with you, but it's too vague, and, but if we wanna pay it, we can pay it.
Well, if you're not satisfied with it, and if you want something else in there, supervisor, keeper, what would you like to visit with them? What would you like to do?
Well, I wish Tyler would have called me, but, because I asked him, Tyler, do you understand what I'm asking for? Yep, no problem, I'll do it. And I told him explicitly what I was asking for, and we didn't get it. So, but then he didn't call me with any questions either. So,
You have the hours they work and the types of activity, like Nathan had worked with administration and Nathan had worked with construction. Have that.
well, that's my feeling, so.
Going forward, I mean, we're just getting started with this project. Let's, hopefully come to some terms with Bolton and Mink on what we expect in the future. What do we expect them to submit to us so that we don't have this happen again?
Yeah, I thought we had that agreement last week, Mark, with Tyler, but maybe he misunderstood me. I asked him 2 or 3 times, do you understand? Yep, no problem.
Okay.
So anyway, that's where we're at.
Sure, the two use different software. You're not gonna get something to look exactly like each other's. Or Ehlers and Cooney wouldn't be able to produce something like software that Bolton and Mink uses and vice versa. If you're wanting them to do anything more detailed, you're also adding to the cost of the project.
Well, it shouldn't be, no.
Well, how would it not? If they're spending more time on it, they gotta get paid for their time.
I would agree. I would imagine there'll be more administrative. I would like to have Dennis get his questions answered, of course, but as Mark said, if we could get something leveled out here that everybody was satisfied with and go forward, because there's going to be more. But Dennis has questions. Maybe he could visit with Tyler and get these questions nailed down. And I think, as Gloria said, I think there will be more administrative as time goes on if we go in this path.
Like for example, on October 4th, Nathan Schmidt did 1 hour of design engineering. You see that on page 2. And he also did on October 5th, 2 hours, and October 9th, 3 hours, and October 10th, 2 hours, and October 12th, 5 hours, and so forth. If you add those hours up, you've got 15 hours there. If you look at the first page of the contract, on the part that says construction engineering services, construction observation, construction staking, it's got design engineer, 15 hours. At 15 hours, because you can see that design engineer is Nathan's responsibility right here on page 2. He did 15 hours of that type of work. He also, if you look at Nathan on the top part of page 2 for administration, he has on September 18th, he has 4 hours. That's for his professional design engineering services. You look at page 1, and on that design engineering professional, you see design engineer. Yeah. And it's got 4 hours. Nathan did 4 hours of work on detailed plans, bid solicitation through contract. What more information do you need from him?
I'll
doing
call
that?
and talk to Tyler. I'll agree to approve this billing, but I'm gonna call Tyler again because when we had our visit, this isn't what we agreed on. And so maybe it's my misunderstanding or Tyler's, but I'll call him and visit with him some more.
All right, fair enough. Sounds good. We're on issue 4 of our agenda, action item, the review action regarding approval of claims. Are there any other questions regarding the claims?
I have none.
I have no more. I'll make a motion to approve the claims.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Supervisor Kiefer, seconded by Jorgensen to approve the claims. Further discussion? And you'll be talking to Tyler about getting what exactly you want in the claims run. Those in favor of the motion approving the claims as presented, say aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you for the discussion. Item 5, updates on various boards, commissions, activities since the last meeting.
I didn't have anything other than the joint, board of supervisor planning and zoning meeting. It was held on the 28th.
I also attended the joint zoning supervisor meeting. Also met with potential medical examiner and potential MEIs. Gloria and I did that, and then we also had a phone conference with Mike Galloway regarding medical examiners, MEIs. I think that rounds up my extra meetings.
All right, thank you, Supervisor Jorgensen. I attended the Chelsea Area Development Corporation meeting and also participated in online a Northeast Iowa Workforce Development CEO meeting, and that's one of the issues we dealt with is on our agenda down here on number 11. And as mentioned, we attended the zoning commission meeting with the board of supervisors. Then item 6. Yes, update on law enforcement center courthouse project.
I don't have any updates. Still haven't found anyone to fix the plaster. So I think we're gonna let Dean Snyder do that. Project, if they want to.
We approved that pay app back in July. Does that require any direction from the board to just let them know that the work? Have them do it?
say, at least.
I have a question for Dennis, maybe. Did I interrupt?
Not at all, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jim.
The assessor's office, I don't remember, we get the lights the way they need to be, or was there follow-up on that, or is that completed?
What was that, the lights you said, Jim?
Yeah, the lighting, they would turn on and off irregularly.
Oh, in the assessor's office?
Yeah.
Is that been remedied? I guess I don't know for sure, Jim.
They did work on the lights. I think I can't remember the remedy, but I know that Paul Electric did come on site, worked with what the options they can do with the lights. I see Brandy's on. I don't know if Brandy has anything she'd like to add. I'm not sure that that's all 100% satisfactory with how she wants them, but they did do additional work.
So this is Brandy. The backlights back where Chris and I sit were updated, so there is no longer a motion sensor and they're just on a regular switch. So those are fine. Lights up in the front of the office where Caitlin sits, they disabled the one sensor in the middle of the room, and now they shut off even when she's at her desk. But it's really random because it totally just depends on the movement in the room. So for example, I'm the only one in the office today, and every 15 minutes I will have to go all the way to the front counter and make motions to turn those lights on. That's going to go on all day today.
They need to contact regarding the lights and then such as well.
Yeah, that'd be Paulson probably, right?
It's out of contract. You could call whatever electrician.
Okay, we'll follow up on that. Randy. Try to get a remedy for you.
Thank you. I do think that the last thing said was like the wiring that exists, they've unwired it as much as they can to make it where, like to try to do what they did in the back, and it just is going to have to basically be rewired. Is my last understanding. I didn't hear that from a contractor. I'm not sure who I heard it from, but.
Okay, so if Caitlin's not there, then you have to walk up there every 15 or 20 minutes, correct?
Yes.
Okay. We'll see what we can do.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Dennis.
Anything else on this issue? Any response from Jason?
Yeah.
72 hours,
Yep.
2 weeks
Did
ago.
respond. Do you want to mention his response? You want me to? Want me to do that? So Jason sent Dennis and I an email. That they have not responded. Seth had the ball rolling already with APC just before he sent the notice, so he'll be checking with him to make sure it did get done. Was on November 30th, and then he responded sweeper deal. Yeah, anyway, Seth already had the ball rolling supposedly. So, yeah,
What's moving forward?
that's the bollard. With the bollard with APC. So
What's that mean?
We've heard this before.
It's
ball
just a
rolling.
2-year thing. Yeah, so, but that's the response that you have. So I sent an email saying, any luck with the 72-hour notice on the bollard? He responded, playing catch up after being gone. Seth had already got the ball rolling with APC just before I sent the notice. I'll be checking with him to make sure it's done.
But we haven't heard back from Jason.
That was the 30th. He was going to get they also said I'll get an update tomorrow. I said, please let Dennis and I know so we can provide an update on Monday's board meeting. And the sweepers, 72 hours. So since Thursday, November 30th, he hasn't provided an update to us on that. But I think he sent an email to us that he's gonna be here today. On another note, on the sweeper one, I sent, it says I will be on site around noon on Monday to look over the job and meet with Youngs and make sure that things are getting completed with them, and he'll drop it in and see us.
So I'll give you an update tomorrow. What's the date on that?
That was Thursday.
That was Thursday.
Yeah, said he would give an update on Friday. We didn't get an update on Friday. But he did say that on Friday that he would be in the office to be here today.
So did you have a meeting with him, or you gonna be here, or you got things to ask him, a couple of things here, it sounds like?
You're gonna meet with him today, then? Or one, or?
I can respond and see. We can schedule that. He just said he was going to be in the office and would stop by. So I will send that. Should we plan on that? Dennis and I would like to meet with you today. Should we plan on that?
Okay. How about the water softener and that discussion, what's going on there?
Yeah, we're having a third company look at it on the 12th. Hauser out of Manchester, Iowa. And we've had 2 other firms look at it and waiting to get their figures back.
Back on the plaster. You asked, should there be
Yeah.
a motion? That would, I think as long as there's some clear message here for Dennis to tell Jason to proceed with that PCO, that would probably.
The one we did in July,
Yes.
sounds like a reasonable thing, we can't get anybody else. We tried multiple times, so, yeah, the effort was justified, and I know you worked at it, but, trying to save some money there, and it didn't work. So,
Sign that PCO then.
You already have signed the
Yeah,
PCO.
sign it.
He just held on.
What's this thing cartel I get from, that's a sweeper thing, right?
Yeah.
I haven't signed that
That's the contract that has the deduct that you can sign for Jason, because I was also a 72-hour notice one that was provided in February. And Sweeper never signed that PCO or the change order. So, because in February, they didn't respond to the 72-hour notice, then Samuel's group had Paulson do the work. So Paulson did the work. So that's the other, so you have a contract with an increase in, all approved by PCO, to increase Paulson's contract by the amount that was reduced in Sweeper's contract. But since, those are those two, one with an increase, one with a decrease, are what I said we need to clarify, that since Sweeper has not signed off anything, are we gonna be on the hook for Paulson's, and be on the hook for Sweepers? But Jason's response is, since they didn't respond in 72 hours, they don't have to sign that deduct, they're just not gonna get it because they went defunct on that role.
So it's okay to sign that.
You should be able to sign both the Paulson one and the Sweeper one. The Sweeper for the deduct and the Paulson for the increase.
All right, then. Is there anything else on agenda item 6? Supervisor Jorgensen, are you hearing all this discussion clearly?
I'm hearing most of it. Brandy's was a little, I couldn't quite hear Brandy clearly.
Okay, we're gonna turn that vowel thing back up a little bit. It'll be a little loud perhaps, but hopefully it'll come through, so.
Okay,
You know,
but otherwise.
I did turn up, then it was really loud. And so.
Okay. All right, we'll try it the next time. If you don't hear it, let us know. It's good, good little practice for us here.
Brandy, do you just want to say something so we can hear?
Yeah, how does it sound?
Testing, do you hear that, Jim?
Oh, yeah, I can hear Mark real well. Brandy is a little distorted for some reason.
Okay, we'll turn the volume
It
up
was
on
kind of
that.
muffled for Brandy. Try it again, Brandy. Talk slower.
Testing, testing.
Yeah, I can hear that, yeah.
Okay, good. We'll continue on here. We're moving on to item 7, review and action regarding setting the rates for the 2080 law enforcement agreements, just for the budgeting purposes. So I've got Sheriff Crooks here to tell us about the meetings that you've had with the cities and what you've got for us. Sheriff Crooks.
Thank you, Chairman. I did meet with 4 of the 6 mayors, the mayor of Rockford, the mayor of North Springs, the mayor of Floyd, and the mayor of Maverick. Absent was the mayors from Cowell and Rudd, and I still have not received any feedback from the mayor of Cowell, Jeff Wright. But we did discuss a $3 increase. So from $4 to $7, I think we all kind of agreed that was reasonable to start with. And so from $4 to $7, that would be a $3 increase. I have not, after then I emailed the mayors of Caldwell and Rudd, I emailed what we talked about, and I still have not heard back from those 2 mayors. The mayor of North Springs, of course, is a little bit different. And we spoke with him and him and I agreed that we would double their rate from $25 per deputy hour to $50 per deputy hour. So that's kind of where we're standing at this point, with 2/3 of the mayors on board. But as I said, I have not heard from Rudd or Caldwell, have not responded to my emails.
Well, good. The idea of putting this one on the agenda so all the communities could have a indication of what we're planning for, so they could budget. I think that's reasonable, what you agreed to. I in support of it, and I think we can go ahead and take action on that. Sounds like you've tried to get a hold of Mayor Rudd and Caldwell, and for whatever reason, I think they kind of indicated, at least Mayor Rudd did when we were online talking before, that he would accept that. I think they were even talking about it to $8, so I think they'd be pleased with $7 per capita. Any other discussion on this issue?
No,
I don't have any.
So, well, maybe I do have a question, Jeff. If the other 2 towns don't respond, would it just be bumped up to $7? Is that what you're saying, Mark?
That's kind of what we're indicating. Yes, if we take action on that, because the 2080 agreements are all individual between all this communities and the board anyway.
Yeah, Mayor from Rudd did, as Mark stated, he did agree that there needed to be an increase. He just has not responded after we kind of agreed at that $3 increase.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Still a good deal. And
a very good deal. It's a very good deal.
I'll make a motion then to approve the per capita rate for law enforcement services from $4 to $7. And for the city of North Springs from $25 per hour to $50 per hour. And these will be incorporated in the 2080 agreements, which we'll consider individually at a later date.
Second the motion.
All right, it's been moved by Kuhn and seconded by Jorgensen to approve a increase in the law enforcement services for 2080 agreements from $4 per capita to $7 per capita, and from $25 per hour to $50 per hour for the city of North Springs. Further discussion? Hearing none. Anyone listening on the phone line that'd like to make a comment? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Motion is carried. Thank you. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
All right. Item 8, review action regarding approving the medical examiner and medical examiner job descriptions, followed up by review and action regarding appointment of a medical examiner through December 25th. And then a third agenda item, review and action regarding job posting for the medical examiner investigators. They're all kind of related in a way. We take them one at a time. So the first one is review action regarding approving the medical examiner and medical examiner investigator job descriptions. Supervisor Jorgensen, you've been working on this one with others for quite a little while here. We're looking at the job descriptions in our packet. I'm sure you've got those and reviewed those as well. Those were gone over with Mike Galloway. So I'll yield the floor to you to discuss this.
Sure, thank you. So Laura and I have been spending some time on this together, working on this process, and I have it in front of me also. However, I don't have my notes, so but it pretty well lays it out there, the job description and so forth. I think we came to the agreement that per body, the medical examiner would be receiving $100, and the MEIs, I think we were leaving that up to board discretion on their compensation. We're kind of getting to the timeline. Gloria, you want to have any more to add?
Yeah, I'll just mention that we actually kind of didn't come up with a set rate for the medical examiner. It was in the job description, but that was removed. So you've got some time to figure out what that amount is yet, unless you want to set it. I don't know that we said $100, Jim. We were at $200 for the medical examiner, and we brought it down to $150. But I don't think we're quite ready on that yet, unless the board wants to. You could set whatever rate you want, but I think what we were looking for is just getting the job description approved for the medical examiner one first, and then there was some clarification that we wanted to get on the types of calls that the medical examiner work that he does, and because he does work that's above and beyond just the 831 or excuse me, 331-802 Iowa Code section, which identifies for public interest when an autopsy needs to be covered. So Jim, I can't say for sure if we really said, Joanne Robinson here, who maybe recalls, did we really end up setting? I think we resolved putting to be determined on the medical examiner
The amount, the dollar amount, I think that
per
was left,
per body.
I think that was left open.
Yeah,
But Dr. Schroed had put in his
Yeah.
input also saying, you know, as you recall.
yeah. So I get it. Jim, did that make sense what Joanne said as well? You know, I guess I think Dr. Schroed said it's up to the county, whatever you want to do for that position.
Yeah, and it was,
He,
for whatever reason, I had $100 in my mind, but, we did talk about the 150 also. I know it seemed like we'd start out with the 200 number and it went down from there. So, I don't think anybody's trying to, get rich off of this as being in this, working in this capacity. But, I couldn't hear Joanne very well, but.
I apologize, Jim, I wasn't thinking of you on Zoom. I do want to add, though, that Dr. Schroed left, and he will check with the person who is doing the billing for them prior to him joining Floyd County Medical Center, and see what they were doing when they were private, because they were the medical examiners back then also. They joined Floyd County back in 2017, I think. And so he wanted to get back, I think, after he spoke with her this week.
Right, that is correct.
Okay.
And because if we look at the list of what medical examiner contacts there have been, the average was 42, if you remember that sheet that came from Mark Bethel before.
Yes.
But all 42 of those weren't autopsies required. They were just where the medical examiner had to do some other paperwork or Ives work or whatever it might be. But
And so that brought up the question of, did they not get compensated for those people that they had to do the paperwork for, even though they weren't autopsied?
right,
Which it makes sense to me that they would get some kind of compensation because there is work involved. Maybe they didn't have to do an autopsy, but
so
their work still had to be done.
So we talked about maybe there's some sort of scale that we would build. That if it was a death that wasn't in, for the medical examiner, that didn't involve chapter 331, 802.3, that would be the higher charge. But if it was something that they just had to confirm that they were deceased, that would be a lesser charge. So that's what that was what Dr. Schroed was gonna check into and see what was happening. Because we were not getting, the only bills we were getting from the hospital were autopsy related services, where a person had an autopsy based on that Iowa Code 331-802.3. So if he has to go in and do other work in the Ives system or wherever that's not autopsy related, should he be compensated for that? He has, there's roles in, if you look at chapters 331, 801 to 805, he has responsibilities with other things besides just the autopsy type things. And so if we could approve the job description, and if you look at where we've got the salary part, we've got to be determined by the Floyd County Board of Supervisors. So that you could approve a schedule that would be effective January 1st. Okay, because we have them through January, or through December, I should say.
So, subsequent agenda item talks about, It's reviewed action regarding appointing the medical examiner through December 25. That starts January 1st. So is Dr. Schrodt then agreed to this job description?
He has seen this job description. As far as pay goes, he'll do whatever. But it is a 2-year appointment, not a 1-year appointment. So it is a 2-year commitment that appointment would be for. And the appointment, we would want that appointment made so that when we get to the MEI position, within 10 days of posting, he could appoint those MEIs to start working as well. But he is already a medical examiner for the county. So, and he's willing to fill that appointment through December. And then, but we would have you appoint, I suppose you could even do that today if you want to do, or in the next meeting, so that he could have that authority to hire MEIs before December 31st.
I would agree with that, Gloria. He did acknowledge more than once that he's ready, willing, and able to proceed with taking over the duties of medical examiner, provided that there's investigators to work with him.
And then we also did reach out I gave samples of job descriptions to Mike Galloway. He did pass them on to another attorney in the office for assistance, Elizabeth Hefferman. And so she has reviewed, made some tweaks to both the job descriptions. Mostly it was wordsmithing type changes, but has reviewed these as well and thinks that they are okay to proceed.
Okay.
Oh, I should also mention, I have checked with our insurance company also on coverage, and there is a follow-up to that one as well. But Mark Melrose had their underwriters look at this, and he just sent me an email this morning. And as far as the ME position, the response was that the ME would be covered on our linebacker insurance, but that would be, he calls it excess. The ME has to be a medical, they have to have their own professional liability insurance. So it sounds like it would hit their own professional liability insurance first, and then he calls it, the linebacker provides coverage for medical examiners on an excess basis. EMC's linebacker coverage for these examiners is not primary, as they should have professional liability placed elsewhere that would be primary. So he's got that for the MEs. It doesn't address the MEIs. So I sent him a follow-up that their email came at 7:24 this morning, and I sent a follow-up at 8:31 this morning about the MEIs capacity, since they don't have that same as the ME. Also ran this by, EMC, they don't care whether they are paid through claims or through payroll, just as long as it taps the report that we send to them for audits and that type of thing. So the only way that that's going to happen through those reports is if we're putting them on through payroll. I also visited with Elizabeth from Gardner and Company, and from that conversation, she believes that payroll is the best venue to go to compensate the ME and the NNIs. So it would be subject to payroll taxes, but with, a claim here or there, it's not going to have, if it's $100 or $150 or $200 per body, deceased body is going to be not a lot of impact on payroll taxes.
All right, we've reviewed and I think we've kind of come to an understanding on the medical examiner job description. How about the MEI job description? Let's discuss that one.
Yeah, so you have the MEI investigator job description also.
Yes. That one also has a salary to be determined by the board of supervisors.
Yes. One's the medical examiner, one's the investigator.
And in that one, there's only compensation per investigated deceased body is given to one MEI. No more than one MEI will be compensated for the same deceased body.
And that is the same with the medical examiner. Should there be a deputy medical examiner put in place at some point? If you recall, Mark Bethel suggested we have a medical examiner, a deputy medical examiner, and he suggested 4 MEIs. And so the job description is written for the MEs, just because of that comment you made, Mark, if the chief medical examiner isn't available, the deputy is in, they only get, we're not paying both of them for the same body. We originally had case on this, but the case could be an accident in itself that could have multiple deaths, so that case was changed to body, deceased body. As far as MEIs, with Mike Galloway, the conversation that Jim and I had with Mike Galloway was, do we do an hourly rate? Do we do a per body rate? And he said, as long as you're going through payroll, they have to be, you have to at least meet your minimum wage requirements under federal and state law, which is only $7.75 per hour right now. So if you had a case and you were charging $100 per case or $150 per case, he said that should more than cover minimum wage requirements. We asked Dr. Schroed at the meeting the other day, how long.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Yes.
The phone lines in the courthouse all went down, and so the Zoom and the phone is not working. I actually have Jim here on my cell phone because I called in. So Jim, can you hear the meeting now?
I can hear the meeting now, I hear you.
Okay, I'm down in the meeting on my cell phone. They did not realize that it wasn't going. My phone and everything disconnected.
All right.
I must be booted back up. Jim, try to talk.
What was that, Brandy?
Everybody's backed up now, Jim.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay,
All right.
I don't know,
Sorry for
how
that.
about
No
Mark,
worries.
is the
No,
Zoom
carry on.
working?
Jim wouldn't have heard like the last 5 or so minutes of that meeting.
Mark, is the Zoom meeting working, or Candy?
Yep, Zoom is working.
Okay, thank
Oh,
you.
good.
Okay, so Jim, where did we leave off?
We were talking, last I heard, Mike Galloway, and Elizabeth, were, part of it. And after that, it, disappeared.
Okay. So, let's see, I had mentioned about compensation for MEIs, that maybe you would have missed that part. So when you and I had the meeting with Mike Galloway, we asked about, how do we compensate the MEIs? Could we do it by per case, which ended up per body, or an hourly rate? And he said, you just have to make sure, he said, you can do it by per body. You just have to make sure you're covering the minimum wage requirements. And of course, that's the state and federal minimum wage rates are only $7.75, so that's not a very high amount to begin with. But we did ask Dr. Schroed how long it typically takes to do I said, does it take more than 4 hours? And he said, oh, no. What he's experienced as a medical examiner, which is what we've been used to, just having that ME position, not an MEI position. So if you look at it that way, that's $25 an hour. If it took 5 hours, you're looking at it'd be $20 an hour. If it took 10 hours, you'd be looking at $10 an hour. So it sounds like you might have some cases that might be a little more in depth, other cases that are a little simpler. But we were looking at a per body fee for that to be determined, as well. We also talked about scales for that position as well, depending on what the work was. So, we think at this point, just to be determined until we can get some feedback back from Dr. Schroed, but still proceed with getting jobs posted. The one change on the job description that Elizabeth made, Elizabeth from Ehlers and Cooney, was to add from a administrative code. It's not in the Iowa code, but it's in the administrative code, that the qualifications of a person are that they have to have a minimum of 2 years experience as a licensed or certified nurse or a medical care provider or a peace officer. That's where, Mark mentioned the other day that you can have law enforcement doing this now as well. That's been added to that administrative code within the last 2-3 years or something like that, I suspect. And then there is a certification that can be obtained as well. And that in the administrative code has a may obtain prior to or within 5 years of appointment. That may be something, if someone has gone to that level of certification, that maybe there would be maybe something you would want on a scale for that level as well. So we're kind of unclear there. There's also been talk about having a lead person. Currently we have, is Dawn not here? Dawn, are you on the phone? Why did she get called? So we also have a situation arose that we weren't aware of. So one of the candidates that is interested in being an MEI happens to be Dr. Schroed's daughter. And our handbook prohibits the supervisor to be and have that relationship with an employee that reports to them. So there was a question on whether or not that person could report to someone else, like maybe a lead person instead of Dr. Schroed. I think that's probably, I don't know if we want to start doing something like that, because ultimately Dr. Schroed is still the supervisor over 4 or 5 people. It's not like it's a large department. So I hate to think that we would potentially lose a good MEI, but I don't know that you want to go down that road, or if you want to change your policy. And there are reasons that you'd have nepotism rules and policies. So I don't. What?
Could it be under the deputy on here?
Well, we don't have a deputy.
No, I mean,
Yeah, again, it's still a small department. I don't know that you want to do it. I mean, Dr. Schroed his intent, he's been pretty clear that he would do this appointment for 2 years, but after that 2 years, he doesn't think he'll be wanting to pursue this anymore. So there's always an opportunity for his daughter to be an MEI, but that's not my call. I mean, it is the county's policy that you can't have that relationship. And I do have an email to Elizabeth asking if it would be appropriate if there was a lead person, that person would report to the lead. But there again, you've got another level, and do we need to go there with such a small department?
Can I just make a?
Go ahead.
Gloria and I have talked about the same things that she has just spoke about. And I agree. I think that we probably shouldn't go against policy that way. Understand she probably make a excellent MEI, but with Dr. Schroed most likely leaving this position within 2 years, it would open up the possibility for her to request to be an MEI at that time. So I fully agree with everything Gloria just said.
Yes.
Why,
Go ahead.
and if, I don't think that it would be a problem with Dr. Schroet, as I know him personally. However, you're setting precedents. And so in 2 years, if he's gone, what if you have another situation like this? And then how do you say no?
I like that we follow the handbook that we have and not make that exception myself. And I do have an email out to Elizabeth to ask her, and we've got time for that as well, but to ask her.
Yeah, if Elizabeth was, could tell us, you know, that it was reasonably okay, I would feel differently too, but I would like to rely on, that advice before allowing, to go against the current policy we have.
But you're making an exception, and then that sets precedents.
Well, we don't even have a deputy, medical examiner yet, so, I'm just looking at the job description that's on the paper in front of us today and trying to sort that one out, and, I think I understand it now, at least I have a better understanding.
The MEI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea of this is to get this posted so we can get some applicants. And in the meantime, I understand that some of the people who are interested in the position are already making plans to go get that state medical examiner training in Des Moines.
Yes.
I don't know where exactly that's at, but last time I was flued in, they might be going down there yet this week. Is that correct?
Next week. So that is the 12th.
Okay.
That is the 12th that Dawn, she just sent an email today, just reconfirming that she will be, she's gonna drive, for herself and 3 other people.
And they're doing that on their own accord. It's, at their own expense and everything, at mileage and so forth, so.
So yes, she just sent an email, well, yesterday, I guess it was, that she confirmed with Mark Bethel that the training is on Tuesday, the 12th at 8:15 a.m. And at this point, she says, Marty, Bill, Justin, and her will be leaving the fire station no later than 6 a.m. and will probably not return until after 6 p.m. just in case anyone else wants to hitch a ride. So that's an option out there. And so Mike Galloway had said the posting for the MEIs does need to follow the county's policy of a 10-day posting requirement. And so the conversation we had with Dawn and Dr. Schultz, Joanne was there also, was to, that if they do this training, Mark Bethel said anybody can go do training, you know, as long as they qualify, anybody can go do it. Dawn said her intents are she would drive whoever down there, it's supposedly like a 4-hour training, take them out to dinner or to lunch and not submit anything for meals or mileage or anything. And what I had said to that is that since they aren't employees yet, it would have to be a motion to, if she wanted reimbursement, to reimburse the people for that since they aren't employees by December 12th. Because the earliest you could do appointments would be after the 10-day posting. So if we get this posted today, it would be the 14th of December and they would have already been through that training. But potentially that following Monday, you could appoint MEIs, or doctor, I should say, the job description is you appoint the medical examiner appoints the MEIs or hires the MEIs.
That's correct, yeah.
All right, if we, is there further discussion, anything we need to do before we consider these 2 job descriptions, one for the medical examiner and one for the medical examiner investigator? As in the packet of information without any changes, the one we're looking at right now.
Jim, were you recommending any changes to either job description?
I don't think we need to do any. We've been going through them pretty vigorously, and I think we're probably where we need to look.
Okay.
And the only other thing I think I could add, Jim, is that, for the number of MEIs, Mark Bethel recommended 4. We've talked
Yeah.
about maybe doing 5, but.
No more
so-
than 5, yeah.
Yeah, so motions by the Board of Supervisors by these job descriptions you are the one that dictates how many, you dictate the pay and you dictate how many MEIs the medical examiner is authorized to hire at any given time.
He said 4 to 6 is last time.
And that all has to be part of the motion of number 8.
Would not have to designate that number yet before he can, if there's more time to think about it, about this pay and this, whether we're doing a scale or whatever. So either at a meeting a week from now or, probably be in a meeting a week from now, you'd have, Dr. Schrodt, today or a week from now, Dr. Schrodt would have to have a number. If Dr. Schrodt is the ME appointment.
All right then, Jim, we're looking for you to provide us some guidance, make a motion on this, as it's written, as it's prepared. Are you ready to move these job descriptions that are in packet?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve medical examiner and medical examiner job descriptions. With,
Investigator, I think I missed investigator.
yeah, then the number of investigators will go in the next motion, or in this motion.
We're not determining that based on the discussion we just had until a later date. Actually,
Okay.
the number.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve medical examiner and medical examiner job descriptions.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Supervisor Jorgensen, seconded by Kiefer, to approve the medical examiner and the medical examiner investigator job descriptions. Is there further discussion? Any comment from anyone in attendance or on the call-in line? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is
Aye.
carried. All right, number 9, review action regarding the appointment of a medical examiner through December 2025. And based on the discussion we've had, then this would allow Dr. Schrodt to serve in that capacity effective this the date of the motion. So he could determine later on, once we get job postings in of MEIs, when we have a little time to just talk about the salary and the number of medical examiner investigators.
I would make a motion to appoint medical, Dr. Schrodt for the medical examiner through December 2025.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion by Supervisor Jorgensen, seconded by Kiefer, to appoint Dr. David Schrodt as our Floyd County Medical Examiner effective immediately through December 2025. Further discussion? Any comment from anyone listening in or in attendance of the meeting today? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
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 That motion is carried. All right. Now, item 10, review and action regarding the job posting for medical examiner investigators. In your packet, there was a one-pager. Floyd County is seeking medical examiner investigators to report and investigate deaths that affect the public interest of the county in accordance with Iowa Code 331.802. Medical examiner investigators must be trained as prescribed by the state medical examiner. This position serves as an as-needed basis in reports to the Floyd County Medical Examiner. Requirements of the posting: applications are available in the auditor's office by emailing the auditor or calling. Applications and resumes must be submitted by 4:30 p.m. on December 14th to the Floyd County's auditor's office. What day of the week is the 14th? Thursday?
Wednesday. Wednesday, I'm like,
Is that enough time?
14th is Thursday.
Thursday.
Does that allow enough time then?
Just if, you're per the job, employee handbook, the postings have to be made for 10 days. And, so that's where that comes into play. Yep, and I have this written as, that it would just go on the bulletin board. If you want applications available on, online, I can do that as well on our website. If you want people to be able to apply that way, or if you just want the posting on the wall, just want some direction there. Again, the minimum is just posting 10 days on the bulletin board. If you want anything above that, just let me know.
Do we normally post job postings in the official county newspaper?
Just depends.
Yeah,
It's,
sometimes we do, sometimes we don't.
Yeah.
We can still meet that 10-day posting.
well, again, you're not, by getting an ad, the earliest you're gonna get it in the Charles City Press would be Friday. The earliest you're gonna get an ad in the North Springs Register is Wednesday next week. So, I don't know that you would necessarily need to put anything in the newspaper. We've got a pool of people that we know are already interested. And it's been whatever
Yep.
cost you want to go to or whatever.
I kind of have a feeling we're gonna have a story in the paper tomorrow. Tomorrow's Charles City Press also, I can see a problem if it's, I don't know if they can put it in or not. There's an ad for a job posting. Or it really wouldn't matter. I mean, if it goes in the Friday paper, it's available until, the 14th on Thursday, so it'd still be noticed, so.
If it was in the paper on Friday, if I can just throw this out, that would be the 8th, and that would set back the deadline to the 18th, which is Monday following. So it's just,
The posting is still based on the bulletin board, not ads. in the
oh, it
newspaper.
is. So you don't have to have 10 days.
Not from the newspaper.
Okay.
Why don't we put it in the paper?
I estimate that you're gonna probably spend about $400 and some maybe between the two ads, to do it in the two newspapers. That's what your direction you want to
You have to do both papers?
go. Well, if we do one county official newspaper, I don't know why we would do both.
What do you think, Jim?
We're looking to you, Jim.
Yeah, as far as posting in the paper,
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we have a great pool of candidates to choose from. I know posting in the paper isn't cheap all the time. I would be fine with posting in the courthouse as we have, and it's not against policy, is it? Or do we have to post in the paper?
No, it sounds like we don't have to.
Yeah, I would be fine, not posting in the paper, especially since we have, Dr. Schroep will have, a pool of candidates to pick from, so.
All right,
If
then.
we put it on the website, that's free.
Have everything covered.
If you want it on the website, that might draw a little bit more attention to it.
Okay, that's easy.
And that would be cost-free.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep, that's a good idea.
All right. So, reviewed action regarding job posting. We've approved the posting that we have in our packet. All it takes is a reviewed action by the board to make it happen.
I would just add to the website on there.
Pardon?
I would just add to the website on the posting, so.
Yeah. Auditor Carter is gonna put it on the website.
I'll make a motion to approve the job posting as listed in our packet, posted on the website as well as in the courthouse for the medical examiner investigators.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Supervisor Jorgensen, seconded by Kiefer, to approve the job posting for a medical examiner investigator. Applications to be returned by Thursday, December 14th. Further discussion? Any comment from anyone in the room or on the phone line?
I would request that the newspaper reporter refer to those websites in his article. That's maybe coming out tomorrow.
Those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion's carried. Well, thanks for the discussion and your work on this, Supervisor Jorgensen, Audrey Carr, and everyone involved. Thank you.
You bet.
All right. Let's see. Moving back to the next item, which is item 11. I'm pulling it up on the website. Here. This is the item I was referring to regarding the Iowa Workforce Development CEO meeting. What took place was there were costs from a previous contract that were questioned, and the total, and so the board, which consists of 20, this is a 20 county board, and we had to, the Department of Labor monitored this previous contract and found that not everything was done correctly. And so we had to consider either one of two things. And one was to pay for this services that were disallowed out of the county's individual budgets. In other words, lobby each and every of those counties, and we'd pay a certain amount to cover those costs or offset those costs, which amounted to $66,039 from an offset in the adult dislocated worker funds for fiscal year 23-24. And virtually every member of the board, which is comprised of supervisors, I think it was unanimous, agreed that instead of taking that money back from the counties, in other words, the counties would have to pay for that it would be better to take it out of the adult dislocated worker funds. And that's what we did by motion. And in this case, the amount that Floyd County was to have paid was $1,600 and X number of dollars. I'll find it here. And so what we're doing is, what we're just noting is the action that this board took. Floyd County share of this was $1,957. So that's not a cost that Floyd County is incurring. What we're doing is offsetting that our share of that cost through this dislocated adult worker program. So we're taking it from funds that would have gone to the dislocated worker program instead of supplementing and taking that $66,000 from each of these counties' budgets. It was a really unfortunate situation. Our contractor didn't live up to the terms of it. There was general discussion before this that, well, should we go after them and file a lawsuit against the contractor who's not living up to the terms of it? And the board thought it was in the best interest not to do that. Didn't know if that was gonna be successful, and so we were left with this, not a good situation either way. But, this is how the board decided to, resolve it. And, any questions on this? It's a lot to it, but, we took it out of the existing program funds instead of, going back to the county and asking for more money. If there are no questions regarding that, I'll move to item 12, which is discussion regarding fiscal year 25 budget planning. That's for here in Floyd County. And this item is in relation to what do the supervisors want to see when the new year budget proposals are being developed. Typically, there's two ways to look at this. The compensation board will sometime make a recommendation to the board of supervisors for an increase in salary. Do we want to have those increases put in the budget proposals that are brought to the board of supervisors starting in January? Or in the past, we've simply said we're not going to just have no increase in salaries brought to the supervisors, so we can perhaps better determine any increases or any changes in the budget from year to year. So that's what it's about generally. I guess there could be something else, but that's what when we put this on the agenda, that's what I expected the discussion to be. Yes, everybody has other car.
Dates you want to start meeting with employees would be a good thing to put on there as well. Like, if you start on the day of your organizational meeting and then the following Monday or those dates.
Okay. Sure. The organization meeting this year is on what day?
That would be on the 2nd of January. It's a Tuesday.
So we meet again on January 8th.
Yeah, January 8th, and all requests are due by the 15th. Do those 3 days or?
So one step at a time, gentlemen, what would you like to see as far as salary in the department budgets when they're presented to us?
What would we like to see on the departments?
As far as putting in the increases that the compensation board makes or not?
So you're asking if we follow through with the compensation board increases? Is that the question?
Not exactly, but close. Just for budgeting purposes, when they come in, remember those sessions we have, do we want to put in, have the department heads, elected officials, put those increases in their budgets that are recommended by the board, or leave them at 0?
Either way, we make a decision of how much or if we want to follow them, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just a little easier. Go ahead.
What did you say we did in the past normally?
The past couple of years, I believe the board has actually asked for no change in the salaries, and we'll determine it at a later date.
Yeah.
I don't know how long that's gone on, but that's the way it was last year anyway.
Yeah.
As mentioned, that secondary roads is by contract is getting a 3% increase, just for information.
Yeah, and there's also the deputy sheriff's collective bargaining agreement's got their steps in it as well. So this isn't, you know how it is in county government. The supervisors don't control all the wages. It's kind of there's no common, everyone is equal here when it comes to wages. So there's only certain groups that we do have that authority over. Some of them are just the total budget, not the wages, so for those it affects is what,
It doesn't affect conservation and it doesn't affect public health. The sheriffs are based on, tied to the sheriff's increase. So if the sheriff gets 10% increase, the deputies get 10%. The sheriff is frozen, the deputies are frozen.
you know how it works. It's all, first process. To me, it's just, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, maybe we should start and not include the compensation recommendations right away, but obviously leave an opportunity to discuss them with those recommendations later. See how they're.
Yeah, I feel the same way, Dennis. I think we can, proceed and, bring those, numbers in as the conversation goes on.
Well, I like compromises. How about if we just ask them to do both? Because, you know, if we ask them to come in with 0% increase, we'll get 0%. And then I wonder what that would be if they were given an increase by the comp board. Just have them both, so we can look at them, and then we know what that total cost is, because it's a little more than just the salary. It also involves all the rest of the stuff that's involved with salary.
Yeah. Insurance too, right?
Yeah. So how about we do that?
So the comp board recommendations only affects, the 7 elected officials, is that right, number 8, or 8 elected officials, and 10 deputies or 11 deputies in the sheriff's office and 1 deputy in the treasurer's office. So you still have a gap of people that are not included in that.
That's true. I don't know what they put in there, but it's 0. You know, I guess we'll figure that out.
Well, I'm okay with Mark's suggestion to do both. See,
As am I. I'm good with that suggestion too, Mark.
All right. So for those that it affects, that Auditor Carr just mentioned, give us the full impact of their recommendation. I think that goes a little ways to let them know that we're paying attention. We value their input. If we just say 0, it's like we're already starting from 0 and not even taking their input into consideration. So that'd be a change from what that didn't happen in the past, but I think that's a good idea. As far as the date, what time are we gonna start this?
well, when did we start it this year? Right after the first of the year, didn't we? Our first meeting maybe, or second?
Yeah, no, Auditor Carr said that the date or the 15th or due by the 15th.
Yes, so it'd be the 2nd on a Tuesday, the 8th on a Monday, and 15th, unless you want to throw another budget workshop day in there. Typically, I do we've been able to get everyone worked in 2 days. We throw a 3rd day, like the 15th day, as if those first 2 days don't work with anyone, then they can come the 15th. Otherwise, so we put a full day schedule out there, like on your organizational meeting day. You're typically done with everything by 10:30. So we start times at 10:30, the last appointment at 3:30, and then like about an hour break in there for lunch. And then same on the Monday, the 8th would be start your regular meeting at 9 o'clock. By 10:30, start doing budget reviews if you think you're ready for that. And then set a schedule for, oftentimes we just get these gaps if we give them too many days to choose from, that you've got a 3:30 and you have nothing for a time period, like say
last one might be 11 o'clock and the next one's 3:30. So if we get them all, say, here's your 2 days, except for this overflow, if you're gonna be out of the office on the, they could come on the 15th. Makes sense. Or whatever, third day as an alternate option.
Will, there be enough? If the due date's the 15th, will there be enough to consider on the reorganization meeting on the second? Will there be some to
I'm
look at?
talking January.
Right.
Are we thinking I was talking December 15th?
No,
Oh.
just January.
Oh.
You're suggesting the 2nd and the 8th and the 15th.
But giving them the options of 2nd and the 8th and only the 15th if the 2nd and 8th don't work. And if you'd rather the 15th, if you want a third day and they're somewhere else rather than the 15th, whatever, you know, if you want to have a Tuesday meeting or a Wednesday meeting. There's usually a catch up. But if we have enough time slots to do all employees and all department heads in 2 days, typically it's been the organizational meeting and the next regular meeting. Well, used to be workshop meetings, but.
Sounds good. Jim, we're talking about meeting on the 2nd.
At what time on the 2nd?
So you have your regular meeting at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
And potentially you could start your budget reviews at 10:30.
Okay. Yeah, that would work well for me.
And then the next time we would meet would be the 9th or the 8th.
Pretty much the same schedule.
Same
You're
schedule.
typically done by. If meetings have been
Yep.
taking a little longer. I don't know.
Yeah, let's just say 11. These people sit here and we're deliberating on other things, you know. Okay, so how about, January 2nd, starting at 11 o'clock, perhaps setting them up till 3:30. Same thing on the 8th, starting at 11 o'clock, go to 3:30. And, if we need any further time, or if we can do it on the 15th, if we're not done.
Is Martin Luther King Day a holiday for the county?
Yes, it is.
That'd be the 15th, I think, right? January.
Yes. We won't be doing it that day.
So another to do it Tuesday the 16th again, maybe, or? People will be back to work then, right, on the 16th?
So essentially, we're only sending out 2 possible dates.
Yeah.
The 2nd and the 8th, and then if for some reason, it's kind of interesting, when we're setting out 2 dates, but we're requiring the deadline of the 15th. Okay. It's odd.
Do you think you need more?
No, I'm just saying,
Or usually it's half-hour time slots and usually it flows pretty
that's all
well.
right,
And the number of department heads fits in there.
good enough. That works for me.
Can I go back to what you said about?
Yeah.
You want them to give you 2 different budgets, one at 0% and what was the other one at?
Whatever the comp board recommends for that department.
But, so what about the departments if the comp board doesn't recommend anything? Because that's only
0.
okay.
Because we have to figure it out after that ourselves. There isn't any recommendation reviewing those people, so that's left up to the board to determine any of that.
Okay, so like say the sheriff's department.
Yep.
The deputies are tied to
Yep.
this, so he puts whatever the comp board recommendation is for the deputies, but the other jailers and office staff are 0. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is, yes, they're tied to the sheriff's salary, so there would be part of that comp board recommendation. And so the other people in that office are not tied to that. Yeah, I guess so.
To have that
I'm
variation,
thinking through it just like with all of us.
or do you want that variation like the 3% for the other people, like secondary roads gets 3%? Or, I mean, if you wanted to see a variation of no increase to increase, would 3% be a more realistic one than to see a bottom line number two ways?
That's a possibility. What do you think of that?
Makes sense.
The advantage of the board is if we just say zero, come in here and then it's like, we don't know what any increase actually is. You know, we're just saying, okay. So we're trying to implement the comp board recommendations and, but I understand those aren't tied to each other, you know. You know,
Exactly.
no.
Yeah,
Supervisor Jorgensen, you hear all that? What do you think of that?
I am, yeah. I think what I'm hearing is, the boards that are not controlled by the comp board would, submit their 0 increase along with a 3% increase. Is that what I understand?
That's more, yeah, that's pretty much it. They're probably a little more detailed, but to it.
Yeah.
well, 3% or comp board recommendation for those tied to elected officials and 0% for, so it'd be your 11 deputies in the sheriff's office and Jolene would be tied to comp board.
Well, we've never done that one because, you know, the comp board recently has been giving the sheriff's department a higher increase due to back to blue legislation. So now you're setting apart a whole different thing where then the sheriff's office people who don't have comp board recommend are gonna get estimated higher than all the other people who don't have a recommendation under that idea.
That's right, like start with the 0. So you have one budget that here's 0 increases for elected
Right.
officials, tied or not. And you have a second one that's say 3% for everyone except whatever the comp board has recommended for the officials that ties on to what their deputies get. So you'd have a potential highest budget and a lowest budget, frozen budget and a highest.
I like that. That makes sense to me to try to do it that way.
All good?
What do you think, Jim?
I'm good with that too. It, seems like it might be a little bit more balanced and fair to start looking at it.
All right. And those people that aren't tied to either of them.
3%. Right? That's what I was suggesting. is
3%, yeah.
So if you're, so like
Like my office.
your
Yeah.
office, my office, other than me.
Yep.
Everyone in the treasurer's office except Jolene and Jesse would get what comp board recommended and Jason Webster, 3%. Amy, everyone's 3%, her 2 staff are 3% except for Amy herself. Jason Webster, zoning. It'd be the recommendation that you'd be pushing to Board of Health would be a 0% and a 3%. To conservation is 0% and a 3%. Although that's the one you don't have the control over. They can say 5 and you can control the bottom line budget, but not wages themselves.
Let's see. What do we got here? discussion or is this review and action? This is just a discussion item, so let's just understand what we're discussing here. All right? We're asking for a, budget proposal from all the staff, department heads, elected officials at 0%. Nobody gets under that proposal to be all pros, whatever it is now. Secondly, with those elected officials who are salary and their deputies are determined by a comp board recommendation, give us the impact of a full comp board recommendation, whatever that is. And the third possibility is in those cases that don't have are not affected by the comp board recommendation, they also submit a budget with a 3% increase. Have I expressed that correctly?
So the two budgets, right? Two
Yeah,
proposals.
two proposals. Yep.
Okay.
All right,
Sounds good to me.
all right, good enough. Good discussion. All right. Next item, 15, no wage increase for clerk and assessor's office. All right. That's in your packet. Let me pull it up.
Or no, yeah, last page. Nope. Yeah, last page.
All right, of course, this is the budget is set by the conference board, which is the mayors of all the communities in Floyd County and the board of supervisors and the representative of the school board. So this is a note of the increase in clerk in the assessor's office from $81 to $22 an hour. Discussing this with the assessor, there's some increases in this person's job description that she's going to take effect on December 1st. Randy, are you on the line? Do you want to follow up with this one? Tell us a little more about that.
Yes, so she actually started her, can you guys hear me? I'm sorry, I don't know how loud to talk.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so, and I'm sorry I couldn't come down there. I'm the only person in the office today. So this is the best I can do. So I appreciate your help. Let me do it this way. So Caitlin started, doing field appraiser work, last week on Thursday. So that entails her, going out and doing physical inspections and review of parcels in Floyd County.
Okay. Just a question, I can't remember. Was this discussed at the conference board meeting in January?
Not specifically. I did have a line item that I budgeted for appraisal services. And so while I didn't necessarily anticipate that Caitlin would be the one doing those appraisal services, it was recognized at the conference board meeting that the three of us were going to need assistance with appraisal work.
All right. Well, thanks for that clarification. I didn't remember it, so I was just wondering if it was. So this is coming out of that appraisal service budget line item that you have money for.
Yeah, so technically speaking, it won't actually be, it'll come out of her salary line item in the budget. I'm not going to move money from the appraisal services line item into her thing. The code provides that I can do that. It's just like a bookkeeping thing. So I don't know why it's necessary. Her line item could just go negative, and then that one is where the funds, can be accounted for, I guess.
Okay, I know there are some requirements that can be done and some that can't be in other departments. I don't know. I'm assuming you checked that out as far as the assessor.
Yeah, the code provides that an assessor can actually move money from one line item to the other. And I don't know if other departments are allowed to do that or not. The only line items that cannot be changed without the conference board approval and a budget amendment would be the deputy's line item for salary and the assessor's line item for salary. So like I said, it's certainly something that legally I could do. I just don't know that it's necessary because as long as my total budget doesn't go over, it would just be a bookkeeping thing. Just
All right.
showing a negative.
Any questions, for Brandy from the two members of the conference board?
Well, Brandy called me last week and went through this with me and explained to me what she's up to or what she is doing. And I don't have any other questions, so.
I also had a conversation with Randy regarding this, so, I don't have any questions either.
All right. Further comment from anyone listening on the phone? Hearing none. Thanks, Brandy. We're gonna move on to
Thank you.
item 14, review and action regarding collection site substitute. Jake?
So, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I asked for direction on posting for an opening that we had at the collection site. And we received an applicant that I would like to make a recommendation of hiring as a collection site substitute. Her name is Anna Butinsky. And do you need that spelling?
Yeah.
Butинski.
ANNA.
Yes, yep. And the wage for the substitutes at the collection site is $16.57 an hour. I would recommend hiring her. She has a background in security, which would, I mean, there's more than she needs to be out there, so I think she'll fit nicely.
So this is a part-time position, right?
Yeah, it's just as needed.
As needed, so no set hours.
No, yeah, there's no guaranteed hours. So we try to keep a list of 6 of them. For when Karen is either, if she's gone or whatever's going on, for them to be able to fill in. And then she kind of just tries to spread it out as people are available, so.
Yeah, I use that site, they're good, I think, yeah.
Jacob, I, heard you real well, except I didn't hear the, hiree's name or the name of the employee you're intending.
Yes, it's Anna Butinsky.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
You said 16,
1657.
57.
Yep.
I'll make the motion to, accept the proposed substitute for the collection site at 1657.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Supervisor Kiefer, seconded by Jorgensen, to approve the hiring of Anna at $16.57 per hour as a substitute at the collection site. Further discussion? Those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Motion is carried. Item 15, discussion with county engineer on secondary roads activities. We had our first snowstorm since the last time you've been here.
Yes, we did. And I guess I have one more thing on the collection site.
Oh, yeah, throw it up.
Yeah, just for another discussion point, I had another, substitute resign. Travis Hobart resigned. He said it didn't really work for him to be able to help out there anymore. So I was gonna look for direction, to be able to post again for 10 days on the bulletin board and seek another, substitute. As long as that sounded okay, again, it'd be the same process as this last time, so.
Okay.
Jacob Hobart,
Travis.
Travis Hobart
Yep.
has resigned.
Yes. He resigned, and so, yeah, we'd be looking to fill his position again, so.
All right, that's a good idea.
Okay, I'll plan on that.
Okay.
Secondary roads wise, yes, we did have on 11/26, so that Sunday, the trucks went out and, everything went pretty well. Just our normal first time out, you know, you have little hiccups or catching back up, getting used to doing it again. There's a couple hoses that they had to fix quick and just little things like that. But otherwise, this past week, out at the secondary roads wise, they've been still working through work orders and drive permits. I think we're probably towards the end of drive permits, but now the end of this week's looking like we're getting 50s. So maybe there'll be a few more that they can sneak in. Road crews were out brushing and then doing another round of blading. We had some moisture there. Just our normal shop maintenance. We haven't had any abnormal breakdowns lately, knock on wood. Hopefully we can keep that up. The bridge crew did a repair down at 240th between Jersey and Kirkwood. Part of the shoulder kind of got tore up from another operation that was going on at a farm site from trucks they were pulling in. And then we have almost all of the red shed repairs are completed. The new overhead door is in. We're just waiting on the electrician to hook up the door and then we should be good. So they thought he'd be in early this week. So then that will be all completed. Then office wise, we're still working on the 155th and Victory Bridge replacement project. So they're looking at pouring that bridge deck on Thursday, is the plan. So I've been over the specifications with the DOT and I've been looking over them with myself for myself, and as long as the air temperature is 40 degrees and any material that we're pouring concrete onto is 40 degrees, they can pour it. They just have to they have to provide heat to the concrete for 48 hours and make sure it's at least 50 degrees and no warmer than 85 degrees for 48 hours. So they're gonna have a really nice stretch of weather there Thursday, Friday. It's looking like it's gonna be in the low 50s and then overnight temps are 33. So hopefully it all holds. I've never done a bridge at this time of the year before. So it's all new for me. So I'm gonna be out there the whole time, and we're gonna have both Jake and Dwayne will be out there as well, and we'll have it staffed and we'll be making sure things go the way they need to go. The contractor's been cooperative. They're providing all the heat that they need to do, and they understand that they need to make sure that temperature is in that range. So they got to maintain it for 2 days, and then they have 2 days to let it cool down, but they can only cool down 25 degrees a day. So they can't just take the heat off and let it freeze, the third day. So that's a big one for us coming up this week. I know that I saw Dwayne sent me a picture this morning. They've already got their tarps out over the steel so because they're gonna have to heat all the steel in there because the steel's gonna be cold. So it's quite a process.
Jacob,
Yeah.
and that, the old bridge there that they're replacing, that'll be removed, right?
Yes, yep.
Do you know what they intend to do with the iron from that?
I'm not sure. So the way we usually do our contracts, with removals, we'll just say the removal is property of the contractor. So that's the way it's bid. So they bid in it that they're gonna have to remove it. So technically, as long as they take it off site, I actually usually don't know what they do with it.
This young man that bought Tina's business, east of town, said he would be interested in buying it, but he wouldn't be able to get it. They'd have to bring it
To him.
the iron to him.
He would have to work something out with them. I guess he could call the contractor and he could work something out with them if
It's
they're
okay to
willing.
do that.
Yes, he could. They might say, hey, we already have a plan for it. We're selling it or we've got something else to use it for, or whatever they're gonna do. So they might have already had a plan, but he could call and ask. It doesn't hurt to ask him. So, other than that, we're still working on getting our day labor projects set, for next year. We're looking at a bridge replacement and a large, pipe replacement as well. And then we're been putting together drainage work on T26 and B60. We're still going through that, making sure it's a fairly major drainage work that we're gonna be doing next year, where our bridge crew is gonna be spending most of next construction season doing both of those roads. Basically, you wanna update all the drainage systems before you pave, because you don't wanna put new pavement down, then come tear a bunch of pavement out and put patches in a brand new road. And then, so I discussed with you guys, this is new. I discussed with you guys a while back about a raised grant that I was trying to apply for. That was a statewide application. where we actually didn't get through the first round of selection, so we didn't make it into the actual grant application. But the engineer from Fayette County reached out to me and the Bremer County engineer to see if we'd be interested in doing one, with our 3 counties. Because all of us ended up not in that other grant, and we all have, areas, there's a definition called an area of persistent poverty, that can score points on grants, and it's labeled as, you know, an area that's, not doing as well. And we all have fairly sizable areas, and we have 12 bridges in ours that could all be repaired. And they each had enough bridges that we could come up with at least $7 million worth between each county. So we started visiting with, a grant coordinator, grant writer last week, and we're gonna have another meeting this week to discuss it further. To see, we're gonna kind of lay out preliminary, is this worth going for or not with just us 3 counties? And can we put together a good enough application where we feel like we have a really good shot at it?
That's that bridge on the Metro line, right?
Yes, Orchard Bridge would be the big one I'd like to see repaired, and then there would be 9 other bridges that we'd be able to do as well. So yeah, this, with us doing it just 3 counties, each county would receive a lot, I mean, somewhere around $7 million each. So we'd be able to do a lot of work with that, and it would greatly benefit us if we could. Some of the grants are, I think, pretty hard to be awarded. I know there's a lot of competition. But I think that these are I think that we're putting in the effort and the dollars for it. They're kind of estimating that it'd be $20,000 for us to participate in the grant, and there's no guarantee that we would get any money. But in my opinion, I think that the $20,000 is worth having that shot at $7 million and being able to do a lot of those bridge projects, and kind of get those off of our list of things that need to be repaired.
That's for a grant writer?
Yes.
20,000 for a grant writer?
Yes, it'd be for the grant writer, yes, our share of it. Usually it's 60,000. They have 3 phases and each phase is $20,000. I think the cost is somewhat associated with the actual total dollar amount of the grant. I think is how they figure that, but I am not well versed in grant writing either. So it's another opportunity to learn. And yeah, we'll have another meeting this week to see if we want to go forward or not. And then just our normal office work, you know, permits coming in, trip permits, right-of-way permits. And then just our normal, you know, payroll, things like that. Otherwise, I don't have a lot else. I don't know if you guys had any other questions or had any other issues you've heard of.
Our District 2 supervisors meeting is this Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
You provide us with a 1-pager of activities this past year.
We already have a PowerPoint put together. I think we discussed that maybe at the department head meeting last month, so we've got that ready for you whenever you want it. So
okay. Tomorrow's department head meeting.
I can bring it.
Bring it then. We'll have it for Thursday.
I'll email it. I'll email it to all 3 of you so you got an attachment, but I can print. Do you want me to print?
Yeah.
How many copies would you?
25.
25, okay. That's all right. I'll remember. 25. And then I also just remember, Mark, I have a Title VI document,
I like it.
from the DOT
I like it.
that, I need you to sign the backup to approve our Title VI plan. It's something we do.
Is that up in your office?
Yes, it is. Would you have time to swing up there today? Okay, that would be great. Otherwise, I don't think I have anything else, but I will get 25 copies of the supervisor's report printed, and I'll just email you guys, so you have the attachment as well, in case you need it.
Anything else for Jacob?
I don't have anything, hope the grant, process goes well for you.
Thank you. I'll keep you guys updated on it.
All right. Future agenda. Today's agenda, we expected to have a review and action on the county pipeline inspectors. And I contacted all 3 that we had interviewed, and they want to be here. One of them couldn't be here today, so they've all agreed to be here. on Monday, December 11th. So that review and action on county pipeline inspectors will take place sometime. We have a hearing at 9:15 regarding the disposition of the property in North Springs. So I would suggest something like about 9:30. We'll have that on our agenda for selection of a county pipeline inspector. Last week's agenda talked about board appointments. I know Supervisor Jorgensen told me he's already contacted the people on his list for the condemnation compensation board. I'm still working
That's
on
correct.
some of mine. That's something we,
Yeah, I've contacted a few, but I've got some more to go, yes.
all right.
Jim, were all of yours good to go?
No, Scott Johnson is, not, he doesn't act as a realtor anymore, and, I believe his, position required a active realtor.
So you're reaching out for others to fill that then, is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll need to get somebody on board for his spot, so I'm thinking there's gotta be some realtors out there that'd be happy to do it.
The other one regarding board appointments, there's some vacancies coming up on our other boards and commissions. We've got an application in for those. Is that something we can put on our agenda soon, or we don't need to? We need to wait for that. Board of Health, zoning commission, or two.
Yeah, okay. We'd have to have someone appointed before the end of the year.
Well, it's, yeah, these terms expire on the 31st of December. So,
We
Hands
should
up for
probably,
Board of Adjustments for zoning and Board of Health.
yeah,
Those three, yeah.
well, we'll judge accordingly as long as if we have applications, we can put it on the board for agenda for consideration. I can't think of anything else on future agenda.
I don't have anything.
I don't either.
All right. Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Also move.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Supervisor Keeper, seconded by Jorgensen to adjourn. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye,
Thank you, Jim. We are adjourned.
you bet. Thanks for accommodating me. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
All right, bye, Jim.